Welcome back to our channel. We are Bitcoin Magazine right here. This is the Crypto Congress 2025 from the heart of Amsterdam. If there is money involved, this is where it flows. And if there's money flowing, crypto is part of it. And the market is moving sideways, up, backwards, forwards. But those who move the market, those are the people who have been sitting right here with us today. The most intelligent people, the most inspiring people, and key opinion leaders. These key opinion leaders help shape the market. They're the ones that are actually telling you what you should know. And Paul and I'm not even joking, from Paul's Penthouse, it's nothing bad, is one of those key opinion leaders, one of those people who actually tells you where you should look, who you should be listening to, and how to make money. So, Paul, thank you for making the time. Thank you for being here. And you were on stage today. You were telling people who to listen to and who to ignore.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at least how to identify them.
All right. And you know something, from a reputable site like Bitcoin Magazine, we kind of sometimes have to sit back, and I'm always on YouTube, I'm always on X, I'm in Discord, I'm on Telegram, and you see these people, I call them just peoples, and they come across with such amazingly formulated advices, and you sit back and you're like, if I was a little bit uneducated on this topic, I'd fall for it.
Yeah.
And how do you prevent from not reading into all of this advice that is 100% ridiculous?
Yeah.
How do you advise people to be alert to identify those that they should ignore?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's a few steps to this, right? One of the things that we do with Paul's Penthouse, I love the intro, by the way.
Yeah.
That was the whole idea of this niche, right?
Yeah.
It's crypto. It needs to be a little bit on the edge, but
Exactly.
it's cool. So what we do is we interview founders. We really go in depth with founders about the projects that they build. The point here is it's not me talking about their project, it's them talking about their project.
Okay.
So who is more reputable than the founder of a project himself to talk about what he is building? And I think that's a key differentiator from a lot of these guys who are exactly on YouTube and all the platforms where they are the ones talking. I'm not saying necessarily that the people who are talking on their own, like all these creators and KOLs, are bad. Absolutely not. There's a lot of good ones out there as well. But I think there's a few things you need to look at when you want to identify which are the good ones. And track record, you know, the history of what this person has done. How long has he been doing this? Has he had success? Did what he was saying about projects actually come true, right? Was his alpha actually alpha? But also, where is the incentive, right? That's a key thing that I always look at. I mean, we're all running brands. You're running a brand. The company has employees. The company has costs. So it's normal that when, you know, a project wants media exposure, they actually have to pay some for that media exposure, right? That's how the economy works. That's all clear. And I don't think that's necessarily the issue. I think the issue becomes here when someone is very clearly promoting, saying, hey, you should buy this because of these 1,000 reasons. There might be another incentive for them to say this.
And those 1,000 reasons don't matter if he has 1,000 reasons why I should buy it?
It could be very well valid reasons to buy.
Okay.
But it could also be that he is a very creative guy or girl who can create all these reasons, like a lot of these creators out there can, without them actually being true. You don't know, right? It's hard to understand. You need to read all this raw data. There's way too much of it to really get to the gist. That's why you watch these YouTube videos, to get all that data translated in an easy way. The trick here is, are they paid to do this? And are they wanting you to actually directly buy in? So are they directly saying, hey, you should buy, it's promoted, etc.? If that's the case, be mindful. Do extra research. You know, as I said, look at track records.
Do your own research.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, from another perspective, the market as it is, like I said in the intro as well, goes up, sideways, down, backwards, forwards, and in one day you could lose 20 billion in liquidity, and you could go from 140 to 90. So, if we are trying to predict such a market, do you think there's actually someone out there that we should listen to?
Well, as I said, that's very difficult, right? Especially when you look at these huge markets like the crypto industry on its own. I believe there was a research like 20 years ago already where they trained a monkey to trade stocks, and it actually outperformed all the traders on Wall Street. Basically showing nobody really knows what's happening because there's too many factors. So obviously there's a lot of indicators, there's a lot of research that can be done, there's a lot of experts out there who are actually good at what they do. It's hard to find them. It's hard if they really know what's happening. That's why I said, and at least what we do is we focus not necessarily on the bigger picture. We do talk about that, of course, but we never advise on that or anything. But we do actually talk with, you know, the smaller picture, which is specific project, founders, like, hey, what are you doing? Right? It could even be you guys. Right? We could talk about, hey, what are you guys building? What's the whole idea behind it? What's the differentiator? And I think by getting that information from the right people, by founders who are passionate about what they build, they actually will tell a story that will convince people that, hey, what I'm doing is actually the right track. And I think if you find platforms that, whether it's creators, whether it's news websites, whether it's articles, where they actually go in depth with these founders and they go into the story of these projects, you can find a lot more reliable information. And don't trust anything blindly directly. Of course, do all the other research around that as well. But I think once you find a YouTuber who does this, or for example, at least what we try to do with Paul's Penthouse, you have one of the sources you can go to, and you know already, like, hey, I'm not going to be shilled to buy a token or to buy a product. I'm just going to be explained educational content. What is this all about? And then you can make your decision what you think of it and if you like it or not. That's not up to me. I don't need to win you over and tell you that you have to do this.
Just have to give me information.
You need to learn.
Very good.
And you make your decision.
Now, at the end of the day, you will bring in a founder.
Yeah.
You want to sit across from this founder and you want to get information from this founder. Imagine I'm a founder. What would be your first question?
I actually always start with their own story. So what did you do before crypto? And then what did you do before you started this project? Because maybe they've been in crypto for a long time before they started this project.
Okay.
And it's interesting because some founders are, I recently had someone from a company who is doing a lot with aviation and drones in crypto on the Deepin side. And he actually has a background in drone mechanics and that whole area. And he worked there for years with huge parties around the world in the US and around the globe. It shows basically his expertise, right? It shows his, as they say it in the art world, his provenance. He is actually capable and he has a background in what he is doing. Okay. And he is now interested in bringing this thing on the chain because he believes in the technology that blockchain is. Now, that to me is already a very interesting thing to know about a founder because it shows actually his capability and his credibility of doing so. So that's why I always start like, hey, what's your story? And sometimes it doesn't align and it's a fun story, but yeah.
Okay. And when the conversation goes well, what have you noticed throughout doing this? What were the most important key factors that led to a founder succeeding?
Well, I think it's very easy for us to identify whether a founder is building something very serious and something good or something bad, right? And there's a lot of founders in this industry who build something bad and they're out for the quick money. If you do this, there's very, very little people in this world who can sit across from another person and talk about something that's not true and honest with passion for an hour. Because that takes a lot of dedication.
Okay.
And with real founders, we were talking about this a bit earlier, but when I ask them and I really dive deep into what they have been building, they get triggered by their passion because finally someone is talking about what they're trying to build for years. And most of the time we are short hours and hours of time to talk because there's so much they want to talk about. Okay. So that's a good trigger for me to see, hey, these guys
might succeed.
He's not going anywhere. He's going to continue.
And when it comes down to it, what do you feel for the next year, 2026?
Yeah.
Where are we going? What might succeed better than others? Are we going the direction of, hey, whoever's starting anything in AI, it's going to go well? Or if you're producing something that's going to work with a quantum setup, it's going to go well? Or do you say, no, we need more bots? If you are setting up a trading bot that works through AI using a quantum computing, that is going to go well. So from your perspective, where are we going? Yeah. What are you expecting to do well next year?
So I think every niche has their own success stories and will always have their own success stories. But I think a niche that will really excel to me is, for example, Deepin, decentralized physical infrastructure networks. And the reason is that what I see in that niche, and I actually host the biggest X space on Deepin in the world right now, so it's also my niche, but I really like it, is that they are building solutions for Web2, for the real world, but they're bringing them on chain. And most of these companies actually build a solution that can be used in Web2. They have a business model, they have a revenue stream already going on, and then they bring it to Web3. Whereas
so
a lot of
set it up and then push it through.
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of companies do the other way around. They build in Web3, but there's no substance to it yet because they still have to prove that what they think or their whole idea is actually valid. Okay. And I think this is where the difficulty lies in finding the right projects in Web3 because a lot of them actually have an idea which is not that good because once they would go to market, they would find out that there's no clients for what they are doing. Yeah. And they can sell the whole story very well and they end up with good marketing budgets and they end up doing a whole token launch. But then once it's up and running, there's no revenue being made and it just dies down. Okay. And that for me in both Deepin, but also in AI, of course, also in robotics, also in RWA, also in drones and engineering, all these angles, I feel there's a lot of actual use case. A lot of companies are building solutions that we have a big need for, all of us in Web 2, but then they're building their company eventually on the chain once they see it successful. And I always like to compare it a little bit to traditional finance, right? You don't go to the stock exchange with your company before you are live and building. Well, maybe it happens sometime. I'm not an expert there, but in general, you build a company, you run it for multiple years, you grow it, you build a revenue stream, it becomes that big, and then you scale and go to the exchange, right? And I think this narrative of building something, making it work, and then turning it into Web3.
Which doesn't happen in crypto. Everybody wants to create something overnight, and then next week, I want to be actually to push it through everywhere.
Yeah, and I believe that narrative is actually taking a lot of grounds these days. I think a lot of people in the industry are like, yeah, I'm not gonna put my money in your weird new altcoin. Prove yourself.
Exactly.
Then we'll get in.
Exactly. So if you said, hey, I'm gonna become a founder, what would be the first step that you take? Tomorrow you wake up, Paul says, you know something, Paul's not going to be doing Penthouse. Paul is now Paul the founder.
Yeah.
What are you founding?
Well, I just founded Paul's Penthouse, right? So that's the thing. That's the thing.
You're out of ideas.
Oh, I have many ideas. I mean, there are so many things you can dive into, right? Yesterday we were talking about, I mean, this is for the Dutch people. We're in the Netherlands. We have a thing here called Tikkie, which is a very easy way to do payments which are between bank accounts. You send by WhatsApp, the other one clicks on it, it's done. Why don't we have this in Web3? One click, done. Money's from the wallet. Should not be too difficult to build, actually. So, I don't know, maybe I just gave away a multi-million-dollar business idea, but...
Realistically, at the end of the day, the smart contract transition is going to slow you down.
Yeah, but there's chains who are very fast, and you can escrow it yourself, and, you know...
You would have to have a funds build-up.
Yeah.
But okay. It's not a bad idea.
Well, right, there's hundreds of these ideas. So I don't know if I would start a new company. I mean, I've been in marketing a lot, so my niche is really there. I like to be creative, think of all these creative ways to bring, you know, projects to the market.
Yeah.
And that's really where I get my energy. I like what we do with Paul's Penthouse. We're building that, we're scaling that. And yeah, my whole thing there, I guess that's what I would do whenever I would eventually create is, can I bring value, right?
Based on that, we're in the Netherlands. The way you just said it, based in the Netherlands. A few months ago, a politician tried to actually open people's eyes and say, hey, we need a national reserve. Yeah. The people in power who actually make it happen said no, categorically.
Yeah.
Categorically, everybody said no.
Yeah.
So from our perspective here in the Netherlands, the world is leaving us behind. Not a little bit, by a lot.
Yeah.
When it comes to crypto, digital currency, ABN AMRO, ING, they're all coming together now, and they're going to be working on a stablecoin.
Yeah, the euro-stablecoin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, based on past experiences, we know this is not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
This is going to take years. It's their way of saying, hey, we're doing something about it.
Yeah.
But from your perspective, for our market, which is the Netherlands, how do we go about actually bringing change? How do we push crypto over that precipice and become mainstream?
Yeah, the mass onboarding, and I think that only can come through education. I think a lot of people find it very scary because they don't know, and if they don't know, it's scary. And that's normal, right? I think that makes sense, and I think we saw the same in the US over the last few years. I mean, 2-3 years ago, everyone was like, never. Then we got the big orange man, and everything was possible.
Yes.
You know, the Wild West started again there, but it showed that suddenly people also took the time to understand everything because they were like, hey, now we can't block it.
Nope.
It's going to happen, so let me at least understand it. Now that they understand it, you can actually see that they're all like, oh, wow, this is actually a good idea. Let's start doing this. And I think that's something that will, it happen over time. It's going to take some time. I mean, the majority of people in power are still people that are so much more older than we are, or at least than I am, and that the generations in crypto generally are. And I think that the thing there is that it's just going to take a bit longer for them to adapt and to change. But I think it will happen.
Okay. So do you foresee that we here in the Netherlands is going to come a point where we are going to adopt this? We are going to be at the forefront of crypto?
Well, I'm not sure if we will be the forefront, but what I do think where Europe is quite strong actually is we're less innovative maybe. I mean, we could be. I mean, we have been historically, of course. But I think what will happen, as you said, ABN, ING, all these banks, the Deutsche Bank, they're all involved. They might roll out this stablecoin very quickly. And what will happen is actually nobody will notice it. But instead of opening your bank account and transferring, well, you open your bank account, everything is the same. You transfer money to your friend's bank account, everything is the same, but it's all on chain.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the key factors of mass onboarding, where we don't even notice that there is mass onboarding.
Seamlessly.
It's seamless. People are just on the chain. We don't even have to ask them. We just do it in the back end. Because nothing changes for the user. The UI, UX stays the same. And I think Europe can be quite strong there. They can be quite united and say, okay, let's roll it out. And suddenly all of Europe is on chain in the financial side. Maybe I'm opportunistic. Maybe I'm too positive here. But I can see that happen, actually.
It's a very well thought out idea. And we hope it happens. We hope it happens.
Absolutely.
So we sat down with Paul for approximately 10 minutes. Everything you just heard, the way he thinks, the way he talks, the information that he's bringing forward, that's what Paul's Penthouse is all about.
Absolutely.
There you go. So if you want to hear more, if you want to learn more, how do they find you?
Right now on X, we host X Spaces, live podcasts, as I always like to call them, on Paul's Penthouse. They're actually on my own personal account. It's Paulus with a Z and then RFRM. If you type in Paulus, you will find me. And yeah, we host these shows. Actually, we're starting one in 15 minutes. My co-host is luckily taking care of the hosting because I'm here. But yeah, we're doing many of these every month, at least 8. We're scaling that up to do more even. And yeah, we really like doing these shows and really get the education out there and talk with founders. And
Very good. That's it. At the core of us becoming mainstream, bringing crypto to the masses is education. And at the core of what we're doing, Paul's Penthouse is a leader. So thank you for watching this video. You know what to do. Like this video, share this video. We are live right here from the Crypto Congress 2025. We are BitcoinMagazine.nl, and we thank you for being here, Paul, and we thank you for watching.
thank you so much, man.
My pleasure.